Hello, guys. So here we are again with a webinar, and this time with the SEO link building Parasite SEO legend Charles Floate. And so Charles is a Parasite SEO and link building master, and many years of experience, despite his, compared to me, young age. But yeah, so I've been following your work, Charles, for quite some time, and watching your videos whenever you post something on YouTube. And it's very inspiring to see and hear your success stories about Parasite SEO and link building. And in today's webinar, we're going to talk about two things. We're going to talk about Parasite SEO, and then we're going to talk about link building in general, because I know that, Charles, you made actually a platform, a website called parasiteseo.ai or .com, something like that.
Yeah, .com, yeah.
Yeah, .com. And then recently you made a new business called Presswhiz, where it's also to do with link building, and where you can buy, I don't know if you can sell links, but you can actually buy links from the Presswhiz. And I think that you can also buy done for you link building with your company. I might be mistaken.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
So, but first off, let's start about let's talk about Parasite SEO. So, in the last couple of months, I've been playing with social media because it's fun, and because I noticed that in the SERPs that I started seeing Instagram posts and Facebook posts. And X, Twitter has always been ranking, but and Threads post ranking, and all of these various social media rankings. And I started playing out with them to try to find a way to use this for monetization or SERP domination. But could you start out by telling us what is, in your mind or opinion, what is Parasite SEO in your words?
Yeah, for sure. So Parasite SEO was coined in 2006, I believe, by Eli from Blue Hat SEO. Back in those days, it was literally going into Web 2.0 style web builders. So platforms that allowed you to build your own mini site or your own page, one-page lander, that kind of thing. And essentially kind of hijack their domain authority and use their domain authority to rank your pages or your website or your subdomain even for very competitive queries that a new website or a new web page or something on a fresh domain wouldn't be able to ever rank for, right? Generally speaking, it's transitioned over the last 10 years or so more towards being paid parasite now. And that's essentially where you go and pay a newspaper to put an article on the website, and then that article ranks for you, right? That then has transitioned to even beyond that, right? Where you have these big agencies and companies and even publicly traded organizations, they're now acquiring websites to rank in Google with, right? So it's kind of transitioned through three periods, from all the way back from literally just kind of exploiting the fact that you could build these websites to now acquiring websites to exploit, right? So it's a very long-winded journey, but it's all to do with the fact that Google has just favored authority so much. And it has, especially over the last few years, has moved to just favoring authority, mainly because AI content has kind of devalued content signals, but also because they're less reliant on some of the more expensive algorithm and NLP systems that they were using before, because they're moving those resources and the compute power into the AI and kind of other AI divisions as well.
Okay. So you're talking about paid Parasite SEO. You're talking about using large websites to post on. Could you give us some examples of what websites? What are we talking about?
Yeah, like the one that really blew up and what made Parasite SEO really well known about 2 years ago is Outlook India, because if you go to their specific subfolder, which I believe was Outlook India / Outlook Spotlight or something like that, it went on, according to Ahrefs, it went to 39 million visits a month, right? Just for that one Parasite SEO subfolder. And you can imagine that in reality, that's probably more like 50 to 100 million visits a month. So because Ahrefs actually devalues a lot of the actual clicks that you get, and they don't count some of the geos and some of the variants as well. So I think that that case study and that blowing up kind of caused this mega trend in SEO, which then resulted in loads of other websites either A, selling posts themselves, or B, just doing it themselves and realizing, hey, we have a newspaper. We've been struggling for the last 20 years because newspapers have been dying. Why don't we just make $1 million a month for putting casino affiliate on our website, right? It makes sense, to be fair, especially if some of these businesses are running on fumes and they're literally making, you know, $50,000 a month in the couple of people in an office somewhere in the middle of Idaho or something like that. They're definitely going to want to take a payday like that, right?
Yeah. Okay, so I think we all in the SEO space, we all heard about the Indian publishing news site, Outlook India.
Yeah.
I don't know where they are now, if they're still going on, but or how it's going with them. But it seems to be, it seems to be coming and going. So how do you find new websites? I'm not talking about social media, but actual websites that you pay on. How do you find new websites?
Yeah, so the coming and going thing only tends to happen in English so much. As an example, we rank in South America, in several South American countries, and it's the same newspapers that we were buying 2 years ago that we're still buying now, that are still ranking, right? It's only because, and again, this is an opinion, there is some evidence of it, that Google does manual interventions in English language, where it doesn't do that in random other countries and stuff, or not nearly to the same degree that it does in English. And maybe because it's more of a PR nightmare for them in English than it is in other languages and stuff. They can kind of shrug that under the white put under the rug kind of thing. When it comes to actually combating the sites themselves, the only mechanism they have is manual interventions, because the algorithm is set up to favor root authority, right? So the only way that they can stop it is going in and doing those manual interventions. And obviously, if they don't have somebody in Israel or somebody in Brazil or somebody in random countries like that, different geos, UAE, whatever geo you're in, right? Those kind of countries tend to not have fully staffed Google teams or nowhere near the same level of manual interventions as the other teams. So we're going into those geos specifically with offers that we've researched, and then we'll try and find sites that are likely to have the most authority for that topic. And in a lot of cases, because it's these large specific language geos, those biggest sites are normally just the 3 biggest newspapers in that country or in that geo, right? The DR90 newspapers that you can get, DR85 kind of newspapers. They will just outrank everything else. It doesn't matter if you go and find some niche DR40 blog that is in the exact topic, it will still get outranked by the DR85 newspaper. So we're just trying to build relationships with the biggest players so that we can continually have access to the biggest amount of equity in the SERPs, right? And especially when you move out of English, those NLP and like the content signals get devalued even further. And there's even less anti-spam signal or anti-spam measures and anti-spam systems being put into place in those geos and in those languages in comparison to English. And that's why you tend to see as well, unfortunately, hackers and like malware and stuff being spread in those SERPs routinely, because it's, you know, it's one thing getting casino affiliate out of someone, it's the other thing stealing their fucking credit card details. And like, it's completely insane. And I think it's 100% Google's fault. Like, I don't think that, I think you can't hate the player, you can only hate the game. And it's Google rigging the game in favor of its corporate partners, in favor of its own websites, and in favor of authority, which at the end of the day favors bigger sites over smaller independent publishers. So this is just a kind of response to the symptom that Google has created. And I think personally, it's only going to continue to grow over the next few years, because I don't see content signals coming back, and I see root authority being kind of the ultimate arbiter of like trust signals and all sorts of things that Google is kind of trying to use it for.
So when we're talking about the domain authority and root authority, something that I just got a question in my mind, that could you actually, do you think that you could use these paid placements, you know, newspaper websites, Outlook India, all of these, could you use them to boost your own root authority, your own domain authority? It would be expensive, but do you think that could that be viable actually. I know that many of the links are no follow, but still.
Yeah, 100%. Like because they're DR like 80s, 90s, something like that. And some of them, Alec India, when we were buying posts on it, was $250 a post. And I think it's DR 86, something like that. That's actually very cheap for a DR 86 guest post, essentially. And if you were to go and buy another DR 86 guest post that wasn't a Parasite page or wasn't trying to rank or something like that, in general, that's going to cost you $560. So it's going to be twice, if not more, than that page normal cost is, because they know that the value of the link is potentially differentiates all this kind of stuff, right? I do think that boosting DR and boosting DA and TF, all these kind of things, is easier done in other ways, and you can do it with like automated stuff and like redirects and things like that. Anyway, you can go buy like a $12 auction domain that's DR31, redirect it, and suddenly your site's DR25, and now you can sell links from it for $150 a link, right? That again is where due diligence has to come into effect for when you're actually buying stuff yourself. And I think that this is also what I've been saying for a long time, that metrics are just vanity, right? You have to go beneath the surface because they're too easily manipulated. And even to this extent now, if you go into Ahrefs and SEMrush, I'm sure you've seen it, they've got this annoying Telegram spam that's going on, right? So even if you do go and check, oh yeah, I'm a DR21. Actually, no, you have 100 referring domains of this Telegram spam, which is affecting your DR score. So even that is completely nonsense, right? So a lot of the time now, I really try to bake it into my team that whatever the DR says is completely superficial, and that we really need to be going deeper beyond the surface, checking the link profile, checking the who is, checking the history, checking the domain, checking what their publishing is, checking if they have a special category that they're putting all their guest posts in, stuff like that, right?
All right. So I'm thinking about the Parasite SEO, and I'm getting a lot of questions. Can this be used for local? Because I'm posting, you've seen my post and videos about the Parasite SEO on social media, and I'm getting the same question all of the time. Can this be used for local SEO? So do you have any experience with the Parasite SEO for local SEO? Or Google Maps?
Yeah, so
perhaps.
I actually have a YouTube video. If you type in YouTube Parasite local SEO, it's not that advanced. Basically, I would do keyword analysis and I would find local keywords that didn't have the map pack on there. And you can use Ahrefs, you can use SEMrush, you can use whatever it is, because it will tell you if a keyword has map pack on there. So I will remove all of the keywords that don't have map pack, and I'll keep that as a list, and then I'll keep a list with the keywords that have map pack enabled, right? So the ones without map pack, really easy, standard Parasite SEO, go in, create an article, outrank them. If there's some little plumbing website that's 9 years old, DR2 or something like that, you're easily going to be able to outrank them with a local newspaper article or something along those lines. And in general, that is very easy. It just gets overtaken because map packs change. So a month later, it could have a map pack that it didn't have when you created that page, and then your page is suddenly, not even visible to the user anymore. The keywords that do have a map pack, those ones are only really editable if you have your own GMB, right? With that being said, we've now been going in and going back through the list of keywords which had a map pack, and we've now been checking if they have AI overviews, right? Because AI overviews come above the map pack. So, and they're a lot easier to manipulate in local searches because there's less content in local queries and there's less content going around kind of local search. So we found that actually the original keywords where we were putting in those pages, they're now being surfaced in the AI overviews as well. So those pages that we had in the non-map pack keywords are now actually showing in the map pack keywords because they're in the AI overviews. So our new kind of test at the moment is to see if we can go in and we can overlap our brand. And especially we're doing something right now, which is testing brands that don't even exist, right? Trying to get Google to surface brands that don't actually exist. There's no address, there's nothing, right? But we want them to rank them number one, even though there's nothing there. And that's a proof that Google doesn't do fact checking and verifiability and sourcing and all that kind of stuff within its AI overviews, which it doesn't, which is really bad, because if your grandma is going and looking at AI overviews for cancer treatments and it's not fact checking it and things like that, you can imagine quickly how this deteriorates. I really think that the AI overviews are dangerous currently, because you can spread false information, you can spread malware, you can spread all sorts of really fucked up stuff on there, and there's no real fact checking. So when you come into local SERPs, all you have to do is essentially just make your brand the #1 in AI overviews, which is very easy through like press releases. We found literally just one press release blast can change an AI overview, because it's surfacing 20, 30 of the press releases in that SERP, right? And again, because local SEO has so little content, so little competition, so little other pages that it's sourcing, it often sources pages even if it's the same content. And because it's sourcing the same content, that then reinforces it inside the AI summaries, because it's got the exact same entities doubled, right? So it creates this kind of cycle that ends up just surfacing your brand even higher. So with local, yes, you can do Parasite without map pack, very easily. And yes, you can do it with map pack if there's AI overviews there. If there is a map pack, then there's not really much point, because you need GMP, and Parasite pages aren't really going to send the correct signals to boost the GMP or GMP.
Yeah, so that would be my next question, because a lot of the questions that I get are for businesses that have a GBP, so they are really focused on getting higher maps rankings. So what they are really asking me about, can this be used to boost the maps rankings, not so much as the organic rankings? So that's and
not really.
No, not really.
Not really. So links have very little value on the map pack, right? We've found there's some research into like if you link to your CID URL, which I don't know if stuff like that. And again, I'm not a local SEO expert, so I don't claim to go out there and know all this stuff, right? There's some evidence and research that if you link to CID URL, that can boost things. But again, a lot of this stuff is circumstantial, and the concrete signals that we do know 100% impact the map packs, links aren't even in the top 10, right? So I always try to go with what are the heaviest weighted signals in the algorithm. Well, let's manipulate those, because they're going to overwhelm the other ones, right? If links are 60% of the algorithm, then, and I am 100% on links, then I'm already 60% of the way there, right? So I always try to weight myself wherever the top heavy signals are. And in local, links don't seem to be that top heavy signal, unfortunately. With that being said, citations, social profiles, all these kind of things that are links, that data, that reinforcement of your company information, name, address, phone number, all that kind of stuff, that stuff can influence and does influence the map packs. So you shouldn't not be building them. 100% you should be building those links. It's just that they don't necessarily impact the map packs. I have seen some evidence around Parasite SEO with people using kind of correlation. So they've been like, okay, best agency for X, top rated X, industry leading, all these kind of things. Right? They're building entity correlation from Parasite pages to their brand. And sometimes we have actually seen those entities show up. So when you click through, it says this is an industry leading, or this is top rated, or something like that in the actual GMP listing. And that, from what we can tell, is being sourced from the link profile. And because there's nowhere else that they've been able to source that from what we can tell. So with Parasite SEO, yes, map pack, no map pack unless it's got AI overviews, but also there is some weighting, there's some signals going on how Google corresponds your brand in the GMP with some of the link profile and stuff like that. And you should always be building citations and social profiles anyway.
All right. Okay. So, but thanks for the question. And that's, it's just because that you mentioned the placing of the name and the entity, and you can actually influence the AI overview. And I just thought of an experiment I made couple of months ago. That I try to make Google think that I'm the Prince of SEO. So if you search for Prince of SEO or who's the Prince of SEO, then my name should pop up. So it's and the fun thing is that I didn't link to my website. We made some placements of my name on various websites. A lot of websites actually. Jesper Nissen is widely known as being the Prince of SEO. No links to my website, but only the name and then the Prince of SEO together in the same sentence. And apparently it works. It worked extremely fast.
Yeah. Well, so this is away from Parasite SEO, but with link building, a lot of people don't take surrounding context into consideration when they're doing link building and they're doing brand building and all this kind of stuff and things. And we actually have started working that a lot more. And especially with AI now, we've even started, you can actually go to Dejan.ai, DEJAN.ai. It's Dejan SEO from Australia. He's a really talented SEO.
Oh, yeah, I know this. Yeah, he's super.
Yeah, awesome, super guy. He released a model last year, which basically tries to naturally semantically place your link in an article. So however your link and the anchor text will be the most naturally placed possible it can be in this content. And we've started using that and kind of a hybrid version of his model in our placement. So we do automated placements with Presswhiz. And the results have actually, we've seen a statistical increase in rank results using that placement. So I do think there's a lot of these bits and pieces of information that people don't take into consideration when they're doing these campaigns. And it's kind of getting into the detail. It's like really getting into the nitty gritty kind of pinpoints and stuff and trying to move stuff around to correlate with your brand and entity and stuff in the correct way.
I didn't hear about the Dejan, the tool that he made. I'll have to go check that out. Dejan.ai.
I think it's called linkbuild. But don't because he's got like 19 different tools on that and models.
Linkbuild. Okay. Yeah.
And then he's got a few models on there that we've used or that we're using. I've known Dejan for like 15 years or something. Literally, I remember him posting years and years and years ago. But the stuff he's recently releasing, he's not getting enough attention and credit for.
He's super intelligent, super smart.
Yeah.
Super interesting.
And like some of the biggest people in the industry don't have 10% of what he has and what he's doing. So I would 100%, he's, 100%, I would focus on what he's doing.
Okay. So let's just circle back to the press releases because I have a couple of questions there. So first, what press release provider are you using? And second, what have you seen when it comes to, when we're talking about Parasite SEO, have you seen that some of these press releases can actually rank in Google, or what are you seeing there?
Yeah, if you Google best SEO experts 2026, there should be press releases ranking there right now.
I will right now, best
SEO experts 2026. It should come up with Kazra and me and Dooley and a couple other people and stuff. We did this campaign a couple of weeks ago, and it's just press releases mainly, and a couple of articles on other people's websites to try and influence the AI for best SEO experts. And if you go to ChatGPT right now and put in best SEO experts 2026, it should be us in the top 10 as well. So we've been doing these experiments. We've been doing these experiments just to kind of test stuff and see what comes up and see what works and what's being sourced over what. ChatGPT, weirdly enough, isn't a massive fan of sourcing press releases. So it tends to not
did you say ChatGPT is or is not a fan of
is not. It's not. Okay, so no, we've even this experiment, if you check ChatGPT sources, it probably won't have a press release in there. It will probably be like Kazra's site, my site, a couple of other people's sites and stuff, but generally it doesn't like to source some press releases. I think there's some tuning going on in the back end because it's syndicated content. OpenAI, ChatGPT, whatever AI models have decided that they don't want to prioritize syndicated content, which I think makes sense, to be fair. And especially if that syndicated content gets overshown, like I said earlier, if it's picking up 2, 3, 4 times the same article, that's reinforcing the entity 2, 3, 4 times over and over again. So it creates a kind of doom cycle in AI where it's going to reinforce or show whatever's in that press release over and over again. With Google, though, AI overviews, they love press releases. Right. So this is another kind of the nitty and gritty between AI searches, all these sourcing, grounding, this kind of stuff, right? Where the models are really different because ChatGPT really likes sourcing blog posts, really like sourcing, especially like individual publishers' content, things like that. Whereas whereas AI overviews, they just really like press releases, really like formatted content, really like tables, anything that they can kind of combine data from, they really like, whereas ChatGPT just likes pure information from what we can tell.
So they really, I agree that the AI overview, they love press releases, they love tables, they love bullet points, they love numbered, unnumbered list, all this kind of structured data in your content. So the reason I was asking also about the press releases, because I'm thinking, can you use, it might be difficult, but can you use actually press releases to do Parasite SEO? Because Parasite SEO, I think that the way that you're using Parasite SEO is promoting affiliate offers, right? That's what you're using it for, to make.
I mainly do CPA, so I'm more of like a CPA. Yeah, so I do sign-ups, leads, that kind of stuff, right? Over affiliate, just because I've, like, to be very honest, I got burned by like a fair few affiliate offers, networks, that kind of stuff over the years, which you speak to affiliates, it happens all the time. Like I've spoken to them a lot of stuff. Whereas when it's lead gen, CPA, you can often get a contract for it because you're selling them leads. So it means your like cost and everything is a lot more secure. So I found in my business, I much prefer, you know, guaranteed earnings, then maybe I'm going to get paid, maybe I'm not, you know. So I like to go down that path now. And I've also found that some of the competition isn't necessarily as bad. You can rank for like a lot more variance in CPA than you can in affiliate and things like that. And they tend to have more purchasing power, or especially if they're just filling out a form, it's a lot easier to get them to fill out a form than it is for them to buy an affiliate purchase. So, and especially you can even embed the form onto your current page. So it means that they don't even have to leave, they don't have to click anywhere. So again, conversions are higher, rankings higher, earnings are higher, earnings are guaranteed, maybe not higher, but they're guaranteed. So I'm much more of a fan of CPA.
Okay, so that's interesting. But so when it comes to so what about rank and rent sites, you know, local rank and rent sites? Because that's what I do.
I don't do any local, So I don't do any local SEO. So the only local SEO I've ever really done is like family and friends businesses. And then occasionally I'll have people buy consulting calls. And even on the consulting calls, I'm like, I'm going to be straight up honest with you. I'm not an expert. You're paying expert hourly rates here. Are you sure you want to do this? I'll happily refund you, right? I've refunded people multiple times because I don't want to go in and I'm not going to be able to compete for New York fucking lawyer, you know, stuff like that. I'm not a local SEO expert, so I don't know the current signals. I don't know what changes happen to GMPs. I don't know all this stuff, right? So I just try and stay more in my field. And I also think we're in this world of kind of information overload, right? Like you can just constantly feed yourself information from all over the place. And there's so many data sources and there's so many points and there's so many conflicting information going on. I much prefer to kind of stay in a lane and just focus and kind of have and be the expert, right, of your one field.
Okay. So
which is grey hat, money hat, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, no problem. I understand. So a question I also get asked sometimes is, and a question I'm also asking myself sometimes is, can I, if I have a new website, let's say 1, 2 years old, 3 years old, relatively new domain, and I have 5, 10 content pages, probably the typical website, can I rank this website with only links? I don't want to spend the next 5 months writing content. I don't want to use AI content. I have, let's say, decent 5, 10 pages. What can be done with only links?
Yep, I can show you an example right now.
Okay,
if you Google slots, right? Out of the top 10 pages, how many have got more than 100 words of content? 0. Okay. Zero. They're all just slots games. Like you load it up, it's just slots games listed. That's it. There's no content. And that might be different outside of English, right? Because again, we have different algos, different NLP, like that kind of stuff. But in English, it's just slot games. There's no content there. So they're only ranking via links. Yes, they may have supporting content, internal links, etc., etc., etc. But generally speaking, if they're operators, so they're the casinos operating themselves, they're not affiliates. They don't generally have much content, and the content they do have is like legal protection stuff, terms and policies, all that kind of, you know, player safety, that kind of thing, responsible gaming, those kind of stuff. It's not actual SEO content at all. And again, a lot of those operators, they struggle to make SEO content because it would be going against the local regulations. So in the UK, for example, with gaming responsibility, GamStop, and a bunch of all these other government or NGO organizations, we've got a bunch of laws in place. So there's gambling in the UK is really easy. You can gamble on anything. You can, like, we're very open to do whatever you want, right? But once you become a problem gambler, Now there's lots and lots of stuff happening, right?
Yeah.
So we've found that generally the bigger you get, the more higher you get with the operators and stuff, they will just do link building because they don't want to take any risk with content. And they can be a lot more risky with link building. They can say stuff in the links and stuff that they can't necessarily say on their own website. And especially when they're doing the building towards that point where they're trying to get the brand correlation, entity correlation, stuff like that, they can only really do that on link building. So those sites are just the perfect examples of whoever is currently number one in the UK for slots, whoever's currently number one in the US for slots, reverse engineer their site, see how they're doing it, and go from there. Because those are the sites that are bringing in potentially $1 million a day in profit from no content, just link building.
Okay, so this is very interesting, and I think that this is very interesting for people watching because, yeah, what can be done? Because people want to rank in top 3, they want to rank number 1 preferably, and yep. And if you don't have the time or resources to write all that content, and you don't want to use AI content, then what can you do? So it reminded me also of a case I saw yesterday shared on X about the Disney website. I think that you might also saw it yesterday, that Disney is now, it's showing on the website when you search for My Disney or profile, something like that. And then you see the site links for Disney. It says Black Hat SEO packages from Disney. And obviously that's not something that Disney wrote on their own website. It was some SEO having fun pointing Black Hat links to the SEO to the Disney website with that anchor text or something like that. Did you see that yesterday?
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, it came up in the Google site links and things, right? So that stuff is not too surprising when you start realizing how Google is correlating pages and things like that. So, and also even ghosting. So I don't know if you know about like ghosting and things, because Google's cache is 2 years old. It can show a page that hasn't been there for over a year, so it has been deleted a year ago, but because the cache is still showing it can still show it. So even that, we've actually found some people, they'll go and find, okay, this massive corporation has deleted this page, right? They can go and build anchors to the ghost page. It will show up in Google and it will rewrite the meta title, it will rewrite whatever to the anchor text, which is crazy. We knew that would happen years ago. It's just crazy that it's happening to Disney, like all the companies. And also their site is so big and authoritative that it actually would take a decently sized link building campaign to get it to move that in the setup.
That's crazy. I mean, but that just shows the power of the links, and that just shows that the algorithm is based on links. Yeah,
well, I commented on a Reddit thread about a week ago where somebody was saying, should I buy links? All of my competitors are buying links, all this and this stuff. And all the comments were like, no, never buy links, never buy links, all this and stuff. And I basically just said, but not buying links, never buying links is just naive, right? Google created the algorithm as a link-based algorithm. PageRank was what differentiated Google from all of the competitors and what allowed Google to blow up and be the #1 search engine. So the fact that you would just discount the original factor, the factor that has kind of created Parasite SEO for the Parasite SEO monster for the last couple of years, and has also just simultaneously killed all these small publishers that all the white hats are also complaining about all the time. How you can still write it off is so beyond me, is insane. So I did this massive comment where I basically said it's naive. If your competitors are using it and they all have the same links as well, then that's probably on your link graph, which means that Google is topically relating those websites to your topic. And if you don't go and get them, then you're at a disadvantage versus your competitors. And that comment ended up getting like 90 upvotes or something in the thread. So that was a perfect example of, even though every other comment at the time was saying, don't buy links, it's naive, it's all this and stuff, right? When the mantra was against it, you can actually go in and be like, okay, but here's the proof, right? This is why you should. This is why. And I think it also kind of attests to how strong Google's propaganda is, right? Yeah. Google got deemed, like, are we forgetting here that Google, yes, they might have like got off with a slap on the wrist, but they still got deemed an illegal monopoly. Like they still got shown to be doing criminal behavior against competitors. Like they were doing anti-competitive business practices, trying to force competitors out of business, all of this kind of stuff, right? somehow these super, like, I don't want to get political or anything here, but they're also very left-wing people, and I'm very anti-politics, so I'm like very moderate, if there is any political label you could give me. Simultaneously also sucking up to Google, which is a massive corporation, goes kind of beyond my belief. So I don't really know how you can say that links don't influence things, and that, you know, don't buy links, don't do all this kind of stuff, when you like continually get shown this evidence in your face, when Disney doesn't even have a page on it, but links are that influential that it creates a page in the search for them, you know.
I think it's because that there's the general consensus about many people, also SEO people, that buying links is black hat and it's against Google's guidelines, and it's almost against the law, and it's also immoral to do. I think it's a kind of like a general consensus that is, especially here in Denmark, the total white hat country, Denmark. But that's I think that's the consensus. It's immoral,
yeah,
and it's against the guidelines, and you know, it's against the law, but it's not against the law.
It's definitely not against the law, 100%. It's just advertising, like that's number one.
It's advertising.
And number two, the immoral ethics of it are, well, the guidelines that you're citing for it to be immoral were written by an organization that itself is immoral. So like what? Like we're just like, this is Inception. Like what's going on here? But again, I just come back to the factor that the people that are generally screaming this the loudest are people who don't actually do much in the most competitive SERPs. They've generally worked for an agency. They're doing like mid-tier businesses that are in mediocre competitive SERPs. Maybe there's some competition going on, but they're adding like $50,000, $100,000 a month of revenue to an e-commerce business, that kind of stuff. It's not ultra competitive SERPs where it's do or die. And like, if you go into some of the casino SERPs, people are negative SEOing people every single day. They're DMCA takedowning, like they're doing actually illegal shit all day long, because Google has implemented a lot of these rules and stuff, whilst also simultaneously not living up to it with the algorithm. So they can, again, they can shout all this stuff on the rooftop that they want. But if you look at the SERPs, if you look at the algo, it says the opposite. It doesn't actually do what they say it does. It doesn't say, or it doesn't, the guidelines don't follow through to reality, right? And even if you, and again, I always come back to this thing with the white hats who argue against building links and buying links. Are you building links? The answer is always yes, in some form. Yes, we're building links through outreach. Yes, we're naturally acquiring links. Yes, we're building social profiles, whatever, you know. At some point, they're building links. And I said, is your end goal to increase your brand's reputation with that link? No, the end goal is to increase our rank. That's against the guidelines. It's as simple as that. If you're building links to increase your rank, it's against the guidelines. And that is their end intent. They can say that they're white hat, they can say all this kind of stuff, but their end intent, what they're getting paid for, is to increase the rank of their client, increase the sales from organic for their client. So their intent is already against Google's guidelines. Yeah,
exactly. And that just shows how how little you can actually use the guidelines to, because it's all about the intent. If your intent of building links is not to improve rankings, then it's not against the guidelines. Exactly. But if you're thinking that it's because I want to improve my rankings, it is against the guidelines, and that makes no sense.
And what if we are really debating ethics and morals and stuff here, where's the lever, right? At what point are you like, oh, well, I'm doing this content and it's gaining me links and I'm gaining rank. Do I continue to do that to gain rank? Well, then suddenly you're now black hat, right? Like this is such a weird, stupid dilemma, and I think it's really bad. There's a fantastic article. I don't know if you know Lars Lofgren. So he did a really good article on the spam reputation abuse attack. Basically saying that Google is going in and they've created this spam reputation abuse guidelines, which says you can't have third-party writers contribute to your site. Well, 90% of news organizations have columnists. 90% of news organizations have third-party people contribute in some way to their content, or they contribute articles, their opinion articles, they're all these kind of things, right? Suddenly that's banned from Google search. Like, again, it's just completely like unlogical. It doesn't make any sense. And it's just purely to benefit Google's, benefit Google's PR department, B, what they can say to shareholders, oh, we're doing this, we're anti-spam, we're doing all this and stuff, when actually in reality they're not doing any of that. And C, for regulators, for the government, for all those kind of things, they can say, yeah, we're ticking boxes, yeah, we're ticking boxes, yeah, we're doing this, we're doing that. But in reality, they don't care. Like they really don't, from what we can see.
Yeah. So I want to talk about the two platforms that you made, the parasiteseo.com platform and then the Presswhiz platform, because when you launched the Parasite SEO platform, I think it was a very exciting initiative where you can go in and see what are the chances of ranking, and then you know, finding and buying links all these places, and now you've launched the Presswhiz. So could you explain what's the difference between the two platforms, because Presswhiz is also about selling links and
Yeah, so Presswhiz came out of something. So I'll start with Parasite SEO. Parasite SEO wasn't my project. Actually, neither of them were initially my project, to be fair.
Okay.
I got reached out to, whatever the word is, by James Oliver, who I'm sure you know as well.
Yeah.
And he was working with another guy called Alex, who's a really good dev and an SEO as well. And they just acquired parasiteseo.com. So they were basically going to build this project, but they weren't 100% sure on some of the details, and they weren't 100% sure on the marketing. So I said, look, give me X% and I'll come in, I'll fix what you need to have inside the dashboard, give you tips, and then also market it for you. So I went in there, we had a lot of initial success, and then Google changed the num 100 rule. So it meant that our scraping costs 10x in the last kind of 2 months or so. And it meant that it became a lot more difficult for us to scrape. So previously what we were doing was we already had a database. So we had a database of 14,000 websites. We would then scrape 1 million keywords a month, and we would see where our database was ranking and for those keywords. And those keywords also, I should say, were categorized. So it could be categorized into like digital marketing, business, tech, whatever, right? And so we would then be able to correlate, okay, this site is ranking top 3 for all of these tech keywords. It must be 89% good for ranking in tech, right? And then what we can do is anytime somebody inputs a keyword into the search, we can reverse engineer the categories for that keyword and then just put the sites that are ranking the highest for those categories in there. And it's worked really well. We've had some success stories that have been amazing. The only problem is we keep running into hurdles, and Google keeps kind of changing things. So we're in the process of potentially selling Parasite SEO as a bit of an announcement to a massive agency in the US, and they've got offices in like India and the UK and stuff as well. I don't know if they're actually going to use it as an internal tool or if they're going to continue selling it. We're not 100% sure. With Presswhiz, I already had a link building agency years ago. I sold that one to a Scottish agency. And I really didn't think that links, I thought that, again, like I was a bit naive as well. I thought that Google maybe would have the next era of search. I didn't think it would be AI, which is all about links, about sourcing from things like that. So now I was in this position where some of the marketplaces I was buying off. So I was buying off a marketplace called Erifera. I don't know if you know them. It's a French marketplace.
No, I don't know. No.
Yeah, it's called Erifera, and it's a French marketplace, but it had about 20,000 English sites. And the English sites were priced with like a 5% markup. So you would pay like $5 more for a $100 article, which was fantastic because then you don't have to do the outreach and all this and stuff. So I was using them a lot. They then got acquired by Rocket Links, which is the biggest French company. And all those prices got doubled overnight. So I was like, brilliant, you know, fantastic. So weirdly enough, at the same time, Dusan, who is Serbian guy, former Counter-Strike pro, he was a former professional Counter-Strike player, was opening his link building service, which was a part of his agency, which had a very successful agency in Serbia that was doing like $1 million a month or so. And he also, at the same time, had some of his clients reducing because of AI and some of his outreach capacity going up because of AI. So he was using, we could send more emails, we could get more people, but we were also getting less customers for the agency. So he's like, let's just set up a marketplace. And he set up last September. So about a year and a month ago. And it wouldn't really grow. He would get it to like 50K, 60K a month, and it would just stagnate there, right? And in January, he actually, from December, he'd been chasing me from my mastermind that I think you're coming to in London. He was chasing me to basically invest in it, and I was working with another one and working stuff. The other company ended up not really working out. In January, he's like, just come on board, work with us. I was like, okay, I'll give a couple of weeks. And January did 60K, right? February did 250K in revenue. So
Whoa.
yeah, so it was a massive jump, and he was really over the moon happy. And it was mainly
how did you just to stop you there? How did you do that? How did you jump from 60,000? Is it dollars or euro or pounds or was it
dollars? Yeah, dollars.
Okay.
USD.
To $250,000 the next month. How could you do that?
So the majority is because of iGaming connections that I have. So I know the head of SEO for most of the biggest casinos in the world and most of the biggest, not even like, a lot of people think, oh, they're individual casinos. Now it's groups. So it's like groups that own multiple casinos or stuff like that. I know the CMO or the COO of those groups, right? So I can go to them and be like, hey, just throw his 10K budget for a week, see if it works out. Then the head of links ends up loving us. Then they spend 50K a month with us, right? And I did that repeatedly with a fair few big iGaming clients. I also moved over a couple of agencies that I know. So I'm sure he'll be fine with me saying this. You know, Keval Shah. He moved over from his previous link provider to us. He was spending nearly $100,000 a month on links and stuff. So he did a test order for nearly half that with us.
$100,000 on links per month.
Yeah, for his agency and stuff. Yeah, because his agency is doing, I think, like 450K a month in revenue or so. And yeah, about 25% of the budget is on links.
That's impressive. Okay, so I was okay. So it's outreach. It's because of your network.
So I will say that the network accounts about 60% of the spend. To be fair, like most of our big clients are spending a lot, but a lot of that spend is a bit offset because we have to do some like discounts. We have to do some we have to put some people in there to help them with like link selection, that kind of stuff. So our profits are a bit reduced. Whereas people who are self-using the platform, our profits are maximized because we don't have to do anything, and it's all AI automated as well. So with the platform, those profits are higher, but it's more difficult to get users through the door. With that method, I've been doing a big mixture of stuff. So I've been doing blogging, organic SEO. We're up to like 4,000 visitors a month organically from without branded traffic as well. Retargeting, paid search on competitors, paid social, but paid social was like $6.80 a click or something like that for Facebook ads and stuff, which was a bit too high. And email marketing.
Did you say $6 or $60 per click?
$6.80 per click. But that's for link building marketplace, right? So realistically, it's like $5 to $6 a click is kind of our max out. Anything over $8 is starting to get unprofitable kind of region, right? With that being said, if we randomly get a click that ends up spending $10,000 a month, then they paid for the budget for the next the next month. So it's fine. But also I also have, the main reason I invest in it is because the other link building marketplaces were pissing me off, to be very frank. Right? Like they were jacking up the prices, they were being slow, there was no innovation. Like over the last few years, there's been like, they've just got lazy, all of them. There's been no new tools. You've got all this AI, but where is it? Like there's nothing in these platforms are using it. And they've just kind of bloated their HR as well. So so we're doing the same level of some of our biggest competitors now, right? In terms of monthly revenue. And they have 10 times the team size that we have, right? So their HR costs are just insane. And I don't think that they're people. Like I genuinely believe that one of our A players is better than 10 of their people, right? Put together. So I always go down the method right now. I'd rather hire somebody for $50 an hour than hire 10 people for $5 an hour in this specific field, because we will get better ROI out of them, out of that one individual, than we will out of those 10 people.
Yeah, it's because SEO and link building is such a specialized field that you really need people that know what they're doing.
Exactly, And even the sales team, right? Like we had to, our sales director has got number one, owns his own AI sales company. So he's doing quite well anyway.
Yeah.
And number two, he's got a background in marketing sales.
Yeah.
If like we tried to put some guys in there that are just sales guys, they cannot sell. Like you cannot sell SEO if you don't know what you're selling. There has to be some trust building going on, trust exercises, for them to actually buy off you. So our conversion rates went up massively when we hired 2 A-player sales guys. One of them, Alex, he's again owns his own AI sales company. He also does talks across the world at conferences and things like that for sales, and he's really, really good. And then Mark, we stole him off of another agency, which was our number one competitor for iGaming. And we were like, look, this guy knows everybody in iGaming. Everybody knows him. Whenever we go to conferences, they're all coming up to him. Let's just get him, right? Hired him over, and then he has brought in loads of big iGaming contracts, casino contracts, and social casinos and things like that. And then he goes to all of the iGaming conferences and knows everyone there and can speak to everybody. And he's also like 6'3" and hardcore British, so he's really, really good at kind of going in there and just getting in the mix and just talking to everybody.
So I'm thinking that Presswhiz is a relatively new website, and you're blogging and you're writing all these articles, and I read some of them. They're really good. So I'm thinking, why not just take your own medicine and build some links? I think that I saw a post that you wrote that you don't want to push the button on this or push the limit on this one. Or what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I try not to do anything to my own public profiles. Yeah. Because Google are trigger happy against me, right? Yeah. Like I've been personally targeted twice, where even the first time it happened, some of the biggest white hats in the industry, like Marie Haynes and people like that, who are so pro Google, it is unbelievable, right? Even they were like, no, you are getting personally targeted here, right? Because they simultaneously would come after my GSC, every site is pure spam penalty in that GSC. The only thing that wouldn't get banned was my Gmail, because they can't ban your Gmail unless it's like some issue like terrorism or like financial fraud or that kind of stuff, right? So my Gmail didn't get banned, but my AdWords, analytics, Blogger, like even my Google Meets shit, that was suspended. Like everything got blocked or suspended on the same day. And then they also would, like, even my own SEO blog, which wasn't on GSC, I'd never connected to GSC, that got a pure spam penalty. I had to sign up for GSC, connect it, and then get the notification that I got a pure spam penalty to my SEO blog. And again, I never really built links. I never did anything. I just talked openly about Black Hat. And they came and targeted it twice. They did it again to my Charles Floate site as well. And I managed to get Charles Floate re-indexed while still having a penalty. So it's still got a penalty, but it's in the SERPs. So
okay, so I can see that I can see the hesitation of building too many links to Presswhiz. I can totally.
I'm not building any links at the moment to it. I'm just trying to naturally. So we're doing entity stacking, right? And then there's a couple links.
Oh, you have the social media. You do have the social media profiles, Facebook and X and. LinkedIn
and citations and everything else. Like we're in directories. We've gone and listed in like 7 Russian Ahrefs directories for agencies and things like that as well. We've done stuff like that. But link building to specific, the niche edits page, we haven't done that. And if you Google niche edits right now and you look at like the top 3 pages, they're all powered by niche edits. So it's like I'm trying to be the one guy that isn't, like.
Yeah.
But also in general, it's just I don't want Google burning me. It's one of those where I don't want to give them any reason to, and if I do give them a reason to and they do it, then the white hats will just revel in it. Like that's like what will happen.
So we have 4 minutes left. Could you give do you have a couple of advices for people just starting out building links, Parasite SEO, link building, budget? That's something that people also ask about. What's the budget? How many links? I know it's impossible to say how many links, but
with Parasite, I would want, if you're just starting, just test free pages, right? Go and like LinkedIn post, Medium, whatever. Go and find free Parasites. Go and reverse engineer. Go into like your biggest affiliate offers. Go into ClickBank, see their top 100 products. Just search them. There'll be Parasites in there, right? Go and find and reverse engineer first, see what's ranking, see what's working, then build your campaigns. Only use free sites. It might take you 10 pages before you get 1 ranking, right? But hopefully that 1 ranking page will start bringing money through the door. And as soon as you get that proof, that's when you start moving into investment mode, right? But too many people jump straight to investment mode without having any proof, any success, any evidence, and they're just throwing money into a fire pit, to be fair. With link building, it's getting to the point now where if you do outreach yourself, 95% of bloggers are going to ask for money, right? Like you can't not buy links if you're doing link building, realistically. At some point, one of the sites that you want to get or you need to get for a client, something like that, they're going to ask for money. So with that, I would, number one, creating outreach systems, doing the whole campaigns and stuff is a massively time-intensive task. And I always go back to EHR, which is your effective hourly rate, right? So if your effective hourly rate is $50 an hour, so you're making your business $50 an hour for every 1 hour of work that you put into it, you probably shouldn't be setting up an outreach campaign, because that's going to take you 15 hours of configuring Pitchbox or whatever tool you're using and stuff, then actually scraping the emails, then doing this. That's tons of tedious manual work that shouldn't really be done by someone with a high EHR. So I always say either A, just get a VA to do the setup, do all that kind of stuff, do the campaigns, and double check the work, overlook it, edit it, make sure it's all correct, or B, just outsource and go with a company that is specializing in what you're doing, right? So we specialize in iGaming, crypto, and finance in general. Those are our three kind of specialities. I wouldn't necessarily say that our inventory is that amazing for healthcare, right? Because we haven't really done healthcare targeted outreach campaigns. We've done tons of casino, tons of iGaming, tons of crypto, tons of that stuff. I know a couple of providers that are really good in healthcare for links and stuff, right? And that have got connections with like hospitals and doctors and medical blogs and all this kind of stuff and things, right? I would go with whoever specializes in your niche, but also just do due diligence. Make sure that they're not massively jacking up your costs. There's a couple companies that are on the first page for link building agencies and services that are 3 to 5xing the price of the links, right? Probably the biggest example is the Hoff. The Hoff will charge you like $500 for a DR30 guest post with like 1,000 words, which you could buy that on you could buy the exact same link on Presswhiz for like $31. Like, I'm not even joking, right? It's that much of a markup, and some of them are just taking the piss at this point. They really are. And I think it's once you get a pre-approval with corporations, once you get kind of in the pre-approval vendor list with some of these mega corporations, then you might be the only vendor that they can go to buy links from. You might be the only vendor. It's the same with military contracts. You're the only provider for X. You can charge whatever you want for that service, right? So it's the same kind of thing that's happening in this. And there's so many big agencies that are just ripping off clients. Massively do your due diligence. Hop on sales calls. Jump on a call. If it's just a sales guy who knows nothing about SEO, end the call, right? If it's somebody who can talk about anchor text, talks about link profiles, talks about going and scraping and finding the correct page to build a link on, all that kind of stuff. That's what you want, because that's what you want to be hearing out of somebody from a campaign. But in general, it's just getting to more and more to the point where you have to put in the time to email more sites because less of them reply. And the ones that do reply just want money now. So it's just more and more of this like mass game, and it's becoming more tedious. And AI does a lot of the kind of, editing the emails, replying to some stuff, things like that, but it doesn't do the setup, which is still tens of hours of work. And link building is the most tedious part of SEO with the setup and all that kind of stuff, because you're not doing anything. You're just putting shit from one sheet to another, putting checkboxes, all that kind of stuff. And it's really boring, to be fair.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you, Charles. It's now 10 o'clock, so let's just finish it up. Thank you for coming on. It's been a pleasure. And I'll leave the link to the Presswhiz website in the YouTube description once it's uploaded. And also links to your socials. I have your X account and your LinkedIn account. And so people can reach out to you. What's the best way to reach out to you?
Twitter, LinkedIn are just the best places. Twitter at Charles_SEO. It's here, I think, on this part of my graphic. And then Presswhiz, we just as an announcement, we just launched a new website a few hours ago. It is not speed optimized.
Congratulations. Yeah. Okay, but
you.
congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you. If you go on it and it takes 7 seconds to load,
Okay.
it's not my fault. Right.
No problem. Okay.
Cool.
I'm going to stop the recording now, but thanks for coming on, Charles. Bye bye.
Thanks for having me. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.